The danger of the past was that men became slaves. The danger of the future is that men may become robots. Man is the only animal for whom his own existence is a problem which he has to solve. Alienation as we find it in modern society is almost total. Man has created a world of man-made things as it never existed before. He has constructed a complicated social machine to administer the technical machine he built. The more powerful and gigantic the forces are which he unleashes, the more powerless he feels himself as a human being. He is owned by his creations, and has lost ownership of himself. We are a society of notoriously unhappy people, lonely, anxious, depressed, destructive, dependent, people who are glad when we have killed the time we are trying so hard to save. Freedom is not a constant attribute which we either have or have not. In fact, there is no such thing as freedom except as a word and an abstract concept. There is only one reality, the act of freeing ourselves in the process of making choices. In this process the degree of our capacity to make choices varies with each act, with our practice of life. The more the drive toward life is thwarted, the stronger is the drive toward destruction. The more life is realized, the less is the strength of destructiveness. Destructiveness is the outcome of unlived life. Whether or not we are aware of it, there is nothing of which we are more ashamed than of not being ourselves, and there is nothing that gives us greater pride and happiness than to think, to feel, and to say what is ours. We owe nobody an explanation or an accounting, as long as our acts do not hurt or infringe on them. Reason flows from the blending of rational thought and feeling. If the two functions are torn apart, thinking deteriorates into schizoid intellectual activity and feeling deteriorates into neurotic life-damaging passions. Greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. If a person loves only one other person and is indifferent to all others, his love is not love but a symbiotic attachment, or an enlarged egotism. Rationalizing is not a tool for penetration of reality but a post factum attempt to harmonize one's own wishes with existing reality. Indeed, freedom and the capacity for disobedience are inseparable, hence any social, political, and religious system which proclaims freedom, yet stamps out disobedience, cannot speak the truth. Critical and radical thought will only bear fruit when it is blended with the most precious quality man is endowed with, the love of life. Man does not suffer so much from poverty today as he suffers from the fact that he has become a cog in a large machine, an automaton, that his life has become empty and lost its meaning. The intensity and excitement which accompanies moments of infatuation is frequently relative to the degree of loneliness and isolation which has been previously experienced. The Jewish and particularly the Christian traditions have stressed the element of sin but have ignored the fact that it is the emancipation from the security of paradise which is the basis for man's truly human development. Love isn't something natural. Rather it requires discipline, concentration, patience, faith, and the overcoming of narcissism. It isn't a feeling, it is a practice. I cannot know who I am, because I don't know which part of me is not me. Society must be organized in such a way that man's social, loving nature is not separated from his social existence, but becomes one with it. If it is true, as I have tried to show, that love is the only sane and satisfactory answer to the problem of human existence, then any society which excludes, relatively, the development of love, must in the long run perish of its own contradiction with the basic necessities of human nature. Man's main task in life is to give birth to himself, to become what he potentially is. The most important product of his effort is his own personality. The affirmation of one's own life, happiness, growth and freedom, is rooted in one's capacity to love. The scars left from the child's defeat in the fight against irrational authority are to be found at the bottom of every neurosis. Many psychiatrists and psychologists refuse to entertain the idea that society as a whole may be lacking in sanity. They hold that the problem of mental health in a society is only that of the number of unadjusted individuals, and not of a possible unadjustment of the culture itself. We are not on the way to greater individualism, but are becoming an increasingly manipulated mass civilization. The outer chains have simply been put inside of man. The desires and thoughts that the suggestion apparatus of society fills him with, chain him more thoroughly than outer chains. Conditions for creativity are to be puzzled, to concentrate, to accept conflict and tension, to be born every day, to feel a sense of self. The whole life of the individual is nothing but the process of giving birth to himself. Indeed, we should be fully born when we die, although it is the tragic fate of most individuals to die before they are born. Mother's love is peace. It need not be acquired, it need not be deserved. The awareness of human separation, without reunion by love, is the source of shame. It is at the same time the source of guilt and anxiety. The task of critique is not to denounce the ideals, but to show their transformation into ideologies, and to challenge the ideology in the name of the betrayed ideal. If two people who have been strangers, as all of us are, suddenly let the wall between them break down, and feel close, feel one, this moment of oneness is one of the most exhilarating, most exciting experiences in life. The duty to be alive is the same as the duty to become oneself, to develop into the individual one potentially is. The human passions transform man from a mere thing into a hero, into a being that in spite of tremendous handicaps tries to make sense of life. Paradoxically, the ability to be alone is the condition for the ability to love. If it is a virtue to love my neighbor as a human being, it must be a virtue, and not a vice, to love myself, since I am a human being too. Exploitation and manipulation produce boredom and triviality, they cripple man, and all factors that make man into a psychic cripple turn him also into a sadist or a destroyer. Happiness should be something which results from the creative, genuine, intense relatedness, awareness, responsiveness, to everything in life, to man, to nature. I want a loved person to grow and unfold for his own sake, and in his own ways, and not for the purpose of serving me. All men are in need of help and depend on one another. Human solidarity is the necessary condition for the unfolding of any one individual. There is only one meaning of life, the act of living itself.